Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of On the Trail. Short episodes where we answer common questions therapists have about websites, SEO, and online marketing as they grow their private practices. I'm your host, Daniel Fava, founder of Private Practice Elevation. All right, today we're talking about something that might seem small, but it actually makes a huge difference on your website. And that is your call to action. You may have heard this term before, or maybe as you're researching online marketing, you see CTA. That stands for call to action. So today we're going to talk about what is it, where should it go, and how do you make your website actually guide visitors to take that next step. So let's get into this and let's break it down. So number one, what is a call to action? What is a CTA? Simple definition is simply the next step you want a visitor to take on your website. You're calling them to an action, and without it, visitors might like your site, they might click around, but they won't know what to do next. And I know that sounds really basic and just kind of silly sometimes. It's like, well, I've got a contact page, why don't they just use it? But we live in busy times. We live in distracted times. Our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And so we have to make sure that we give those website visitors ample opportunity to take the next step. So examples that we commonly see with the websites and practices we work with could be scheduling a consultation, book your first session, just contact the practice, schedule a call, join a wait list, or maybe download a resource. That could be a call to action. I say primarily we're really focused on what's going to be that next step that someone's going to take in order to be a client of your private practice. So your website shouldn't just inform people. We want to do that, and great content helps you get organic traffic to your website. All that stuff is great, but we also want to guide them toward becoming a client. So why does this matter? So many websites miss this. They explain services, they talk about their approach, their modalities, their training, all that stuff, but they never clearly invite someone to take the next step. Kind of an example of this is like, well, what if somebody showed up at your private practice and they walked through the front door, instead of calling you or emailing you, and they walk in and they say, I might need therapy. You wouldn't just hand them a brochure and then just walk away, and you're like, you figure it out. You look through all this information and you figure out what you want to do next. You would say something like, would you like to schedule a consultation? Or let's talk more about what you're looking for. Let's find out, why do you think you would need therapy? You'd start that conversation to ultimately, hopefully, lead them towards becoming a client and serving them. So that call to action, that CTA, is an invitation on your website. You're inviting them to that next step. And like I said, for most private practices, we have a primary CTA. We call it a primary CTA, something like schedule a consultation or schedule your first session. This is a way to get people started with those conversations and get that relationship going. And so one thing that we want to do, or you should think about, is what is the primary call to action that I want somebody to take in order to start that conversation. And it's okay to have multiple calls to action, but there should be just one primary on each page. And that primary call to action should stand out. It should be very clear that this is the next step I'm going to take in order to start working with this practice or with this therapist. And some of the things that we do to make sure that that is clear is, number one, repeating it throughout the page. Let's use a homepage as an example. We'll likely have a hero up top and have schedule your consultation now. Schedule a consultation to get started, or get started today, and that goes to your scheduling link or a place where they can access your calendar. So we have that in that top hero. We often have it too in the menu at the top of the page, top right. And those buttons that we have going with that call to action are going to be the same color. They're going to be usually high contrast, so they really stand out. So that's two places you might see it on the homepage. Then depending on how much content you have on that homepage, we might break that up in the middle of the page, again, calling out that call to action. You're ready to get started today. Your free consultation. It's right there. And then another place would be in the footer. And often on, let's say, like visual service landing pages where, let's say, you're talking about couples therapy, same sort of thing applies where, it's up in that menu, it's in the hero. And then we always have this sort of anchor call to action as part of the page. Someone's gone through, they've read the information, and then they know exactly what to do next. And we're making that really stand out, with website design, making sure that contrasts, with the rest of the page. There might be a lot of content and a lot of text, and all of a sudden, boom, okay, I know what I need to do next. I need to schedule a consultation. And so those are a few places where you can put your calls to action. And really, kind of my encouragement to you is making sure that those stand out. And like I said, we use a different color for that button. We carry that consistently throughout the website. Other calls to action might be more informational related. You might have a section where you introduce yourself on the homepage and you say, learn more about me. And that's a button. And that's okay. You can have that, but don't make it stand out as much as that main call to actions. Keep it simple. Think about the different things that you want people to do. I mentioned earlier too about, download a resource. You could have like a PDF or a guide or something, and that is a way to build your email list and reach out to people in the future. And that's great too. But again, we don't want it to compete with that primary call to actions. Make sure you're using that in different places, but not necessarily right next to that primary call to action. And we've really been at PPE, especially with our SEO clients, focusing in on those primary calls to action and making sure that at the top of that page that we're only inviting them to do one thing. We're really making sure that they don't have to think. They know exactly what they need to do next. So I'll just kind of leave you with a quick little website check you can do, to see how you are stacking up. How is your website stacking up when it comes to calls to action? So go to your homepage, ask yourself within 5 seconds, and our attention spans are even shorter than that, but this is being generous. 5 seconds. Can a visitor see how to contact you? Can they easily schedule a consultation? Is there a clear next step? If not, you might be losing out on potential clients. So, make those changes in order to, make sure people know exactly what to do. So just some closing thoughts. Your website's job isn't just to look nice. It's to guide visitors toward taking that next step and becoming clients. So clear calls to action are helping folks understand exactly what that step is. You're really serving them at this point, because if they're showing up and they're anxious and they're trying to find out information, is this the right fit? What do I do next? You're laying that all out. You're like, hey, here's the next step. And it's very clear. Here's what's going to happen when you book that consultation, and so this is all part of that clarity that brings people peace and helps them trust you and convert. So thanks so much for listening. Now go elevate your practice. Oh, and one more thing I almost forgot. If you need help with your online marketing, with creating a great website, or you have a website and you need help with your online visibility through SEO and AIO, we'd be happy to talk to you. So if you go to privatepracticeelevation.com/kickoff, you can fill out a short form. Let us know a little bit about what challenges you're facing right now, and schedule a 15-minute call with myself. There you go. There's my call to action, and I almost forgot it. Thanks so much for listening.